News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
The congressional wrestling match is over, and Gianforte wins despite a body slam. Good morning, it's John King filling in for Peter Christian. Your news brought to you this morning by Dig It Excavation, bringing 30 years of excellence to every job for all your excavation needs. Call 214-4292. Well, there are still a few votes to be counted, but it's clear at this point that Republican Greg Gianforte has won the race to hold Montana's seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, and by more than the 5% spread many had forecast. All in all, Gianforte walked away with 50% of the vote, nearly 189,000 votes. Democrat Rob Quist came in second place with 44%, and Libertarian Mark Wicks came in third with 6%. In a county-by-county matchup, Gianforte had a majority of the vote in all but 10 of Montana's 56 counties. Quist won his largest margin of support in Montana's famous Democratic Party strongholds of Butte and Missoula, where he took 63% of the vote in each. Gianforte won by over 70% in 13 counties and had his biggest lead in rural Garfield County, where he took in 90% of the vote. Poetically, Libertarian Mark Wicks had his best showing in, you can't write this up, it's Liberty County. That's right, Liberty County, where he took 16% of the vote. Rob Quist was in Missoula yesterday, praising his supporters for their hard work and dedication. Quist related his personal call to Greg Gianforte to the crowd.
I've called Greg Gianforte and congratulated him on his victory, and I talked to him about how important it is to continue to reach out to all Montanans and listen to their comments, and I know that Montanans will hold Mr. Gianforte accountable.
In his victory speech, Gianforte declared a victory for coal and timber families, for the Second Amendment, among many other things. He also declared a victory for us to, quote, keep our public lands in our public hands, end quote, and made a public apology to Guardian reporter Ben Jacobs, who was physically assaulted.
Hard work is the way we get things done. And sometimes hard work is born out of hard lessons. Yes, sir. Last night, I learned a lesson. And no, please, I need to share something from my heart here, and I just ask you to bear with me. And when you make a mistake, you have to own up to it. That's the Montana way. Last night I made a mistake, and I took an action that I can't take back, and I'm not proud of what happened. I should not have responded in the way that I did. And for that, I'm sorry, Mr. Ben Jacobs.
Gianforte went on to apologize to his supporters and to make promises to Montana.
I'm sorry to each one of you that we had to go through this. That's not the person that I am, and it's not the way I'll lead in this state. Rest assured, our work is just beginning, but it does begin with me taking responsibility for my own actions. You deserve a congressman who stays out of the limelight and just gets the job done. I promise to work hard to protect our precious way of life.
The election is over, but in many ways is just beginning. Representatives only serve 2-year terms, and Gianforte is picking up his seat partway through the cycle. He's up for re-election just next year. 2 days before the Montana special election, gamblers on the website predictit.org were giving Greg Gianforte 80-20 odds to win. But after assault charges were filed against Gianforte, his stock dropped significantly. Predictit spokeswoman Brandy Travis explains.
Yesterday, the likelihood of him winning the election went from 81 all the way down to 34 cents, which was the low at around 1:35 a.m. Eastern Time. And then now he's back up to 64%.
Predictit runs these types of polls for all kinds of elections, but Travis says it's rare to see that kind of flux.
We have seen it before, but it's usually when something, a major shakeup like this happens. It is a major event, and I think that they started to even back out because of, the information coming in of how many early votes were in. There's a lot of movement on that market, and there has been, of course, leading up to the election, but even more so after the event.
Each Predictit share costs about exactly $1 based on bidders' expectations about who will win. A separate Predictit market was measuring how close the Montana race would be, and by noon on Election Day, the big money was on a final vote to be within just 5%. After news broke about the assault charges against Greg Gianforte, Libertarian Mark Wicks was asked how he would have responded to a similar situation. Wicks used the opportunity to highlight his opinion that Gianforte's wealth may have put him out of touch.
The thing to do would have been just to walk away, just to turn and leave the situation. And I'm sure he's under a lot of stress. I know this gets pretty stressful, but I think it's been a long time since he's had any problem he couldn't solve with his money and lawyers, and he didn't know how to deal with the situation.
Montana Democrats were also using the incident to gain some last-minute swing votes and issued the following statement on Election Day. Quote, Greg Gianforte's actions and the charge against him are very troublesome. Violence has no place in our political discourse, and the people of Montana demand better from those who seek to serve our great state. Montanans must hold Greg Gianforte accountable, and the best way to do that is to get out and vote today for Rob Quist, end quote. By the way, Gianforte will have a hearing for the misdemeanor assault charge on June 7th. All right, here's our final story for the set. Not related to the election. Back in November of 2013, a massive cyber hack of Target stores nationwide led to widespread fraud attacks on Target customers, according to Montana Assistant Attorney General Chuck Munson. A large number of Montanans were also attacked.
We know that info on more than 60 million nationwide was stolen. When you kind of winnow that down to what happened in Montana, the best information we have is that somewhere between 150 and upwards of 200,000 people were affected.
Many victims of the attack didn't lose any money, but Munson says some Montanans had to fight to get their money back.
Just to put it into context, we heard about it through actual people having to essentially recoup their money. Credit card companies and banks will often have reimbursement policies in place that make victims whole already. This is how we were hearing about it, is that there were some people that were victimized, regionally here in Montana, and they were actually having to engage with their banks and credit card companies to be reimbursed.
This week, Target agreed to settle with Montana and other states over the issue. Montana will receive nearly $178,000 from the settlement, which also includes much stricter requirements on how Target must maintain its customers' information.